There's a specific feeling you get when breaking news hits during a live broadcast. It's not just surprise, it's not just excitement, it's this electric, almost physical sensation where you can feel the energy of the moment crackling through the screen, where you know that what you're witnessing is going to be talked about for days, weeks, maybe months. And that's exactly the feeling I got this morning when in the middle of a completely normal first take discussion about the Knicks playoff rotation and Karl Anthony Towns' comments about playing with playoff intensity, that red-breaking news banner appeared at the bottom of the screen, and the words scrolling across it were so shocking, so unexpected, so potentially franchise-altering that for a moment I thought I was reading them wrong. Sources: New York Knicks in advanced negotiations to acquire Cade Cunningham from Detroit Pistons. I read it three times, because my brain could not process that the New York Knicks, a team that already has Jalen Brunson and Towns and OG and all the pieces of a championship contender, were about to add a 23-year-old franchise caliber point guard to the mix. And then I watched the hosts realize what had happened, and the next 20 minutes were some of the most captivating television I've ever seen. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything. That like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second, but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly, the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. Molly was the first to notice. She stopped mid-sentence and said, "I need to cut in here because we have breaking news." ESPN sources are reporting that the New York Knicks are in advanced negotiations to acquire Cade Cunningham from the Detroit Pistons. The words hung in the air. Stephen A. Smith's head snapped toward the monitor so fast I thought he was going to pull a muscle. Shannon's eyebrows shot up, and then Stephen A., and who is a New York guy to his core, turned back to the camera with an expression of pure, unbridled joy and said, "Madison Square Garden is about to become the most dangerous arena in the National Basketball Association. If the Knicks get Cade Cunningham, it's over. It is over for the Eastern Conference." The producers scrambled. Graphics started appearing on screen. Cade's stats, the Knicks' current roster, salary cap projections, potential lineup configurations. Everything the production team could pull together in real time started flowing onto the monitors, and the show transformed from a casual pre-playoff discussion into an urgent breaking news broadcast about what could be the biggest Knicks acquisition since they traded for Carmelo Anthony. Stephen A. was in full New York mode, pacing, gesticulating, speaking with the kind of passion that only comes from someone who genuinely cares about the franchise being discussed. He said, "Do you understand what Cade Cunningham and Jalen Brunson in the same backcourt means? You're talking about two players who can both create their own shot, who can both run an offense, who can both score at all three levels, and who can both make the players around them better. That is the most versatile, most skilled, most dangerous backcourt in the NBA. Not one of the most, the most." Because nobody, and I mean nobody, has two ball handlers at that level of passing, scoring, and playmaking in the same backcourt. The Knicks would be putting defensive coordinators across the league in an impossible position. Who do you focus on? Brunson, who can score 40 on any given night. Cunningham, who can drop 25 and dish 10 assists. Towns, who can score from anywhere on the floor. OG, who can lock up your best player and hit open threes. There's no right answer. Every defensive scheme you try gets exploited by one of these guys. It's a mathematical impossibility to contain all of them. Shannon was more measured, but fundamentally in agreement with the premise. He said, "I think this could be exactly what the Knicks need, but I want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the ball handling distribution. Brunson has been the primary ball handler and primary creator for this Knicks team. He's the guy everything runs through. And now you're bringing in Cade Cunningham, who has been the primary ball handler and primary creator for the Pistons. Two players who are used to having the ball in their hands for the majority of every possession. How do you divide those responsibilities? Who defers to whom? And is either player willing to accept a reduced role in terms of usage and ball dominance?" And that's a fair question. It's the question that every fan should be asking. But I think the answer is actually more straightforward than people might assume, and here's why. Brunson and Cade have fundamentally different but complementary skill sets. Brunson is a scoring first point guard who creates primarily through isolation and mid-range pull-ups. He's at his best when he has the ball and is reading the defense one-on-one. Cade is a playmaking first point guard who creates primarily through pick and roll reads, passing, and finding teammates in advantageous positions. He can score, obviously, but his greatest impact comes from his ability to make everyone around him better. Those two profiles actually mesh beautifully because they don't duplicate each other's strengths. When Brunson has the ball, Cade can play off the ball as a shooter, a cutter, or a secondary creator waiting for the kick out. When Cade has the ball, Brunson can operate as a scorer, running off screens, cutting to the basket, and exploiting the attention that Cade draws. They're not competing for the same role. They're complementing each other. And think about what Cade does for Brunson's load management, which Karl Anthony Towns literally just talked about publicly. Towns said the Knicks should have been in playoff mode 10 games ago. He said they need to build habits and standards. He challenged Mike Brown to have a plan. Part of that plan, in my opinion, has to be reducing Brunson's workload, so he's not running on fumes by the fourth quarter of playoff games. Cade allows that. He takes possessions off Brunson's plate. He runs the offense for stretches so Brunson can conserve energy. He handles the ball in high leverage situations so Brunson doesn't have to be the sole creator on every single possession. And the result is a Brunson who's fresher in the fourth quarter, who has more energy to close games, who isn't worn down by the grind of being the only offensive engine on the team. I also want to address the Knicks bench problem because I think Cade's impact there could be transformative. The Knicks bench has been inconsistent all season. The rotation beyond the starters, McBride, Shamet, Clarkson, Robinson, hasn't provided consistent enough scoring to maintain leads when the starters rest. Cade could stagger with the bench unit and give them exactly what they've been missing, a primary creator and scorer who can keep the offense running at a high level even without Brunson on the floor. Instead of the offense dying when Brunson sits, Cade keeps it alive. Instead of leads evaporating during bench stretches, Cade maintains them. That continuity of offensive production throughout the 48 minutes is what separates championship teams from pretenders. The size factor is another element that I think is underappreciated. At 6'6", Cade gives the Knicks a backcourt with legitimate size. Brunson is excellent but undersized at 6'1". Having Cade alongside him or staggered with him gives the Knicks a ball handler who can see over the defense, who can post up smaller guards, who can switch defensively onto bigger wings without being a liability. The matchup flexibility that Cade's size provides is enormous. In a playoff series where matchups matter more than anything, having a point guard who's big enough to guard 2 through 4 positions is a significant advantage. The Stephen A. and Shannon debate eventually circled to the Giannis question, which hangs over everything the Knicks do. If Giannis is truly only willing to play for the Knicks, as recent reports suggest, then how does adding Cade affect that potential acquisition? Stephen A. made the point that having Cade actually makes the Giannis pursuit more attractive, not less. Because if you have Brunson, Cade, and Giannis on the same roster, you have 3 legitimate all-star caliber players who can all create, score, and make plays for teammates. That's a dynasty level core. That's a team that competes for championships for the next 5 to 7 years. Shannon countered that adding Cade might make it harder to match salaries in a Giannis trade, but acknowledged that smart front offices find ways to make the cap work when the basketball fit is right. My overall take after watching this entire segment: Cade Cunningham to the Knicks is the kind of move that elevates a franchise from contender to dynasty candidate. The basketball fit is outstanding, the timeline is perfect, the impact on both the starting lineup and the bench is transformative. And the long-term implications, especially if Giannis eventually joins as well, are staggering. The breaking news ticker on First Take this morning might have just signaled the beginning of the most exciting era of Knicks basketball in decades. Knicks fans, subscribe and stay locked in. This is happening. And when it's official, when Cade Cunningham puts on that Knicks jersey and takes the floor at Madison Square Garden alongside Brunson and Towns and OG, the Eastern Conference is going to have to deal with a problem that has no solution. Let's go.